There is a criminally underrated city in northern Poland, and we all need to stop what we're doing and talk about it, like right now. Because what I need is someone to help me figure out what's going on here. Why is this happening? Is this just a classic case of gatekeeping, or is Poland's tourism board just heavily underfunded? Whatever the reason, not nearly enough people are talking about the city of Gdańsk. And it's a shame, because after spending a couple days there for myself, it has quickly become one of my favorite cities, not just in Poland, but in all of Europe. My name is Josh, and I'm a digital nomad who lives in a different country every single month. Join me for a taste of the food, culture, and activities in what might be the most underrated city in all of Europe, Gdańsk, Poland. Now, let me be the first to admit that if you're someone who doesn't love a great walking around city, then you might personally not be a huge fan of Gdańsk. A walking around city, to me, is a city that is so beautiful to look at that the best way to spend your time there is simply strolling along its beautiful streets, popping into cute little shops, and grabbing yourself some food and ice cream and snacks or whatever else your heart desires. The best places to stroll are undoubtedly the Old Town Square and along the Mołdłowa River. Just so beautiful. I love the colors of the buildings in the Old Town. I love the fountains. I love the architecture of the buildings along the river as well. They're so modern but so cohesive. You'll also find carnival rides and pirate ships, and there are just so many great ways to take in the amazing views of the city. I also really love this flowy grass. Okay, this is the most beautiful grass I've ever seen in my life. I have to say, this like scratches something in my brain to look at this. I don't know, I mean, I'm sorry, I felt like this deserved a whole moment in the video. Gdańsk is fairly small, so without a doubt, amidst all of this walking around, you will inevitably reach a very famous church. And it isn't just any church. It has something very unique for tourists inside. Now, there are churches all over the city. It is Europe after all. But every city seems to have that one super church, one mega cathedral that sits in the middle of town and is impossible to miss. In Gdańsk, that place is St. Mary's Church. Now, the church itself is fine. It's a church. I mean, I've seen better, I've seen worse. However, what's really special is the unexpectedly brutal adventure that takes place above the church. If you want, you can climb all the way up to the top of the enormous main tower of the church, and it takes 409 steps to get there. The steps are numbered, and by the time I was totally tuckered out, I looked down to realize that I had only gone up 50 steps with 359 more to go. Honestly, climbing this tower is kind of like going on a major nature hike, except instead of open air, you're trapped in a tiny stairwell of a major church in Poland. Also, can we all agree that this whole thing is giving serious Wicked vibes? Yeah, iconic. Eventually, you reach the top and are rewarded with a gorgeous view of the entire city. And because it's such a workout, actually not that many people are willing to make the climb up. So usually there aren't a ton of people at the top, despite the incredible view. And I had been there for no more than 30 seconds when it started raining, which felt mean, actually. Like, I climbed a whole church. I worked so hard to get up here, and so, because I'm stubborn, I just stood there in the rain. Also, it took me a long time to catch my breath, and so physically, I needed a minute, to be honest. But there is one thing that can always entice me out of my tower, and it's pierogi. And Gdańsk has, in my opinion, the best pierogi in all of Poland. I love pierogi. It's actually one of my favorite foods in the world. In the first video I ever made about Poland, I actually used the word pierogies like 100 times. And the Polish people told me that I was wrong to add the S to pierogi because apparently the word pierogi is already plural. So, as you might imagine, on this road trip across Poland, I ate pierogi many times. But I found my favorite pretty early on. Mandu Pierogarnia in Gdańsk takes the crown, and it's not even close. My goodness, these were incredible. First of all, there was a long line outside in the rain to get in, which made me want them even more. Secondly, they have a huge selection selection of options, both baked and boiled. My only complaint here is that you can't mix and match, which means you have to get an entire order of one flavor. I would have loved to do like a huge sampler platter, but I couldn't. That said, I had to try an order of both the baked and the boiled varieties. I mean, I had to, for science. Like, when was I coming back here? For my boiled pierogi, I went with the most classic option available, the cottage cheese with potato and onion. And for the baked, I went totally, not traditional. I ordered pierogi with Kentucky beef, bacon, and cheddar. Yeehaw, bitch. I loved the food. I had a really incredible server who had all the suggestions and was very friendly. I mean, I even got permission to film them actually handcrafting some pierogi. Just a big win all around. Gdańsk was the first city on my Poland road trip, and despite the rain, this meal really made my day. Highly, highly recommend a visit if you're in town. Overtourism is making headlines all over the world. I mean, you hear about locals in Barcelona using squirt guns to dissuade tourists from visiting, which I personally think sounds really fun. Like, I would love if locals shot me with a squirt gun, but that's just me. Venice has incorporated a fee for tourists to enter. Now, I have been to both of these places, okay? So I don't want to sound like a hypocrite, and I cannot lie. They are incredible and beautiful places to visit. However, when there are also places like Gdańsk just sitting there, also in Europe, and just as accessible via cheap airlines like Ryanair as these other cities, maybe we should consider spreading the love around a little bit. So I'll say this. If you're watching this video, at the very least, you must be considering a visit. Let this be the push you need. Do it. There are so many incredible places to visit in Europe that some absolutely gorgeous cities like Gdańsk get sort of swept under the rug. It's really such a shame. However, what that means is that you can enjoy some of these amazing activities in one of the most beautiful places in Europe with minimal crowds. You can be a trailblazer, because I have a feeling that Gdańsk won't be a hidden gem for very much longer. I didn't even mention one of my favorite parts of Gdańsk in this video, the World War II Museum. It is incredible, and it's a huge part of the story in my video where I learned so much more about Poland's history. Click the screen to watch it now.